like 6:30 and I did this. Board of Education. This meeting is being held in compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act and is open to the media and public. Notices were duly posted and the meeting was advertised in the Hunterdon County Democrat and Courier News. Formal action may be taken. Can I get a roll call, please?
Mrs. Betterman.
Here.
Mrs. Fiore.
Here.
Mrs. Menser. Mr. Peach.
Here.
Mrs. Bogorski.
Here.
Mrs. Ryan. Ms. Wolf.
Here.
Dr. Cerciello.
Here.
Ms. Hamble.
Here. And we can all rise for the flag salute.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, Dr. Hart, I turn it over to you.
Thank you. So tonight we have an update, which is kind of a treat for the board and for the public. It's about 1 year ago in the month of December where the Ed Tech Committee of the board engaged in having conversation about the educational and mental health benefits of a therapy dog program in our schools, and the policy committee began the work of developing policy that would govern a therapy dog being in our schools. So it's been about a year, and we've spent a lot of time invested in developing the program. The board has spent a lot of time putting some parameters around the program, developing policy and educational benefit for the program. I thought it would be a great highlight for the board to hear how it's going. So we've invited some staff and students from RMS to present to you this evening some of the results and outcomes of our therapy dog program. So I'd like to invite Mr. Charleston, Dr. Moss, Mrs. Goodfellow, and students to the podium to tell us about the therapy dog program.
Thank you, Dr. Hart, and thank you, board, for having us tonight. This is actually a really exciting presentation to give to everybody. We have a lot to share, and we really are excited to share this with you. And this is a team presentation, so once again, I'm Tim Charleston, RMS principal. I'm a lover of pizza and dogs.
Dr. Moss, RMS vice principal.
Ellen Goodfellow, school counselor, 6th grade this year, and chorus handler.
And this is a multi-team presentation, but this is not just the four of us up here giving it. There's so much hard work that's gone into this. Well, time and time again, you're going to hear us say thank you multiple times, not only the leadership that Dr. Hart, Mr. Bowman, and this board has shown in helping pass the policy and helping us launch this off the ground, but our RMS staff, our nurses, Brzezinski, Ms. Chanel, our other counselors, Ms. Creeley, Mr. Klippel, Ms. Belandi, Mr. Tumlo, the supervisor of SEL. They've been instrumental. So you're going to hear us say this time and time again. Thank you for the work that you've been doing. And the goals for this presentation, there's a couple pronged approach here. So we will quickly just review the landscape of education. And for those of you who were in the Ed Tech Committee meeting last December, you've seen a little bit of this, but just as a refresher and for the general public, we'll kind of go through that and how RMS is dealing with it. And then Animal Assisted Therapy, or AAT, you'll see that acronym in there, program, and the research that goes with it. We'll talk a little bit about our approach to dealing with that landscape and our approach to implementing an AAT program at RMS. And then we'll give you that 1 year later look, that 12-month span. What did we do after you all passed that policy? What did we do in the spring? And how do we gear up for this school year? So very briefly, this is not new. This has been the rhetoric around education the last few years since COVID. We've seen increased mental health needs in staff and students. This has happened. And that's really the center point here. And if you take that all the way back, that detaches into detachment after COVID from a lot of our students, high levels of stress, and handling that. How do you handle that well? And for a lot of our students, we still see school avoidance or reluctance in engaging in conversations with other peers and or staff members. And we have seen lower achievement. The concept of learning loss, I don't really like that term. I like to use the term decelerated learning, because our students still are learning, just not at the accelerated pace in which we wanted after COVID. And we do see just general unkindness. And remember, our schools are microcosms of the society that we live in, and the unkindness is all around us. So words and actions, we've been seeing that as well too.
The district at RMS really has a comprehensive approach to SEL. So some of the things that we currently have at RMS, we have a dedicated SEL curriculum. We have our student staff recognition program. That's our Valuable Vikings. And we're currently seeing students recognizing students, students recognizing staff, and staff recognizing students. And we also have some of the business office recognizing our staff for certain things over the time. So we do appreciate that. We're seeing it definitely widespread. Our Spirit Days events and assemblies. Some other things at RMS, we have our dedicated behavioral health counselor for our Tier 3 students, prevention resources and assemblies, counselor classroom lessons, most recently HIB, and focus, of course, on the whole child. So clear and comprehensive school mission, comprehensive academic program, and vast co-curricular programs. RMS, though, always wants to better itself. We're always looking for ways to enhance that. So our thought was to continue to look for areas and how we can improve.
And where did we want to improve? What did we want to see in our students? We wanted to see more good character traits, self-esteem, rise in self-esteem, acceptance and respect, improved achievement scores. That's something that we want in our students, specifically in math and ELA, including fluency. Building that sense of trust, that sense of belonging, that's really important at the middle school level. Lowering stress, or different ways of handling stress, and improving motivation, especially in those preteen and teenage years. And then helping to live that mission of RMS. And that's really important, because we do have a very clear mission at RMS, and we want every kid to not only understand it, but also achieve and thrive in that. So those are the things that we wanted. And going back and forth, we talked about what could we possibly bring, and we tossed around a lot of ideas. And I found this video that I think summed up exactly what we wanted in our schools. And this was actually from another school. Would you play it for us? probably a whole hiring search for a new dog, too, most likely, I can imagine. Saw that news clip, like, yes, that is what we want. That's exactly the type of program that would add the benefit to RMS. And we started saying, let's look into the research. And the research is vast. You can Google it yourself. We've added some up here so that you can look at. And the research for AAT programs indicates that by all measures, this helps to improve achievement, helps to improve mental health, it helps to improve belonging. And not just in school settings, right? Because maybe you've seen therapy animals in libraries or nursing homes and things of that nature. It is a widely accepted practice. And so when we thought about our approach, we thought about, well, what other schools are out there that are doing this? And surprisingly, our neighbors aren't. Flem is doing it, Alexandria. We consulted with these peer districts. East Brunswick, my old district of Princeton, is doing it. Absecon, and many, many others. But we actually consulted with these schools to gather how did you implement a therapy dog program. And we realized that we also needed to kind of gather some input from our community. Do we want this? Right? We want it, it's great, but what do our stakeholders want? So we sent a survey to every RMS parent, staff, and students. It was a combination of open and closed loop. 90% of respondents said that they had familiarity with an AAT program. We also asked some questions about, what would you like the program to do, some of the drawbacks. And the numbers are staggering here. I'm just gonna show you a couple of quick slides, but basically, this is a quick bar graph of our staff, our parents, and our students, and how would you feel about having this program at school? And you can see the 5 is all the way to the right. It was unanimous across all 3 subgroups. They wanted this program. And when it came to the ways in which they wanted the therapy dog to help at the school, again, unanimous. The top 3 were reducing stress, reducing anxiety, and improving mood at school across our staff, across our parents, and our students. So it was very clear that we not only had the buy-in from our community, but it was very clear they knew what they wanted this program to help achieve. And they actually gave us some other ideas as well, including reading, having the dog come in to the library and classes, do classroom visits, volunteer to walk the dog for therapeutic reasons or leaderships. And it was really powerful to see our peers, our students and our staff and our parents give that. So based on our research and based on everything we thought, yeah, this makes sense. Let's do this. But that's where you all came in, because we realized we don't have a policy for this. And to help guide us, we needed one. So again, huge kudos to this board right here. You all helped pass that policy. It is on the books. I really thank you from the bottom of our hearts. It really helped us. But then we had some other certification liabilities. We did our due diligence, right? Is the dog credentialed? Does it have up-to-date with vaccines, insurance, reviewed security protocols with our staff? And after the policy was adopted, we alerted to the community. And then we needed to actually find a dog. And that's where Cora came in.
So Cora is 2.5. She's a Maltipoo. She was actually bred to be a therapy dog. And part of the training we did puppy kindergarten, level 1, 2 obedience. You have to be a year old in order to begin therapy dog training. It's interesting. I've had several students come up and ask me, how did you do it? And they are now seeking it out. And kids who are 14 years or older can also be a certified handler. We have done a lot of other training, nose work. We've done acting classes to get them used to wearing clothing and hats and stuff, because the kids love it. We have, I think, almost mastered the high five. So we have a little platform for the kids to give her a high five when they walk in the morning. But she absolutely, when she comes in the morning, I cannot sit in my office very long because she's like, let's go. There's people out there. And it's amazing how she finds certain people, and you just have a way of knowing that that person needs a little extra care and attention. What we're most proud of is we were part of a traumatic loss response at BOE High School. And they were so impressed with the power of an animal in a time of grief and great loss that they now have worked with Bright and Beautiful. And they have Bright and Beautiful volunteers come in once a week, and children sign up because they didn't have an in-house therapy dog. So
So we found the dog. We had a policy, we had a dog. We told the community this is going to happen. So we actually utilized Genesis to create a new form, and thanks to actually Matt, who's sitting right over there, in tech department, helped us actually have a dedicated icon that we see on our end if the parents give permission for the student to see the therapy dog, or if they didn't answer initially, we just said no. This was a pilot in the spring. We consulted with our district physician, fellow health staff, because there were things that we planned for, students with allergies, staff with allergies, but of course, there was unanticipated things that we thought had to think of too, like in the middle of a fire drill, what happens if Cora barks and stuff like that, so we had to think through all of these different pieces. And to start, we only allowed Cora in certain rooms, and over the past spring, we did 2 to 3 afternoons for about 1 to 2 hours each clip, just this past spring. And our timeline, which I showed the ed tech last year, this was the timeline that we showed you. We didn't change a thing from our timeline. We actually hit every marker on our timeline in terms of presenting to ed tech, policy first read, second read, going through everything that is on here. The only thing that I added was an updated presentation in November, December 2023. So this is 1 year later. And to give you, and I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Moss and Ms. Goodfellow to take this home. But just this past year, we sent an updated letter to our entire community, our RMS community, about the therapy dog, the benefits of the therapy dog, and the form is a mandatory form in Genesis. Parents need to opt in to have access to the therapy dog. 99% of students in my building, our building, have been given access. 488 students, there's a very small handful of students that don't. That is, to me, that's unanimous, right? And for whatever the reason, some people don't want, that's their choice, and we respect that choice. We make sure that we don't go into classrooms and but 99, that's pretty good. I don't think 99% of anything is really viable in the world for this of us. We continue to consult with the district physician, and this year we tried something different. Cora is in each and every Thursday for pretty much the full day. Figures out now and again. So it's 1:30, as do I sometimes. But each and every Thursday, Cora is in. So I'm going to turn it over to them to kind of lead off what they have actually been doing with Cora in building.
So what does her day look like? And some of the most amazing things that we've seen right in front of us is just her use with conflict resolution. So when students are in conflict, a lot of times, obviously, myself and a counselor would meet with students, but now we involve Cora in the conversation, and it really has enhanced our conflict resolution practices and really has helped with students with getting to know each other better, and we've actually seen students create friendships from conflict and meeting with Cora, and they use that as kind of like a foundation for their relationship, which has been just absolutely amazing to see in that regards. A big thing that we've highlighted too is just staff support. We see actually staff wanting to see the dog more, so it's had the balance of, I think, supporting the school as a whole, not just students, but staff as well. As I talked about mediation, we've used it as rewards. We've seen students maybe struggle certain times, and we use Cora as an opportunity to walk through difficult situations. We've used it in communicating with families and parents, and how we've used Cora to help support the student. And we've just seen that sort of positive impact, especially when it's directly in front of you. So it's made, especially on the discipline side of things, just enhanced everything. So I really do thank Cora for that, for making some of our jobs easier in that regards.
I appreciate you being very honest. So I am going to introduce 2 most amazing RMS students, Tucker Lipinski, who just come on up, and Teresa Egbert. First, I wanted to say Tucker, last year when we first brought Cora in, Tucker was instrumental in being a part and helping her get used to the routines and just being kind and doing a little bit of training and helping me. And he has just been this resource that now when he comes in, if we have lunch, we get together, even though he's not in 6th, I pull him in all the time as much as possible. Because when Cora sees him, as she did tonight, it's a warm wag, it's a friendly face. She has come to know Tucker, feels safe with him. Tucker is one that'll say, hey, can you hold it for a second? I have to do this. And I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for everything that you have done for helping me introduce her to other students, just bringing other kids in and just making them feel comfortable. And so that's one of the reasons why I have Tucker tonight. And the other amazing human being I have with me is Teresa Egbert. Teresa has been instrumental this year as a sixth grader, as one of my own. It's amazing who Cora gravitates to, and these are two of the main students. This year, we're right to Teresa, and I can understand why I've come to know Teresa. It's also helped my relationships with students and get to know students on a different level. But Teresa is kind and smart, as is Tucker, and always willing to just welcome her into the classrooms. And then I started actually coming into one of your classrooms, right? But we'll get to that. I'm not going to do most of the talking. I'm going to ask them to do it because that's what's most important. I will just say these are some of the pictures that from the Good Morning in the hallways. It's just amazing. You'll see when there's a lot of students in the hallway, I pick Cora up. That's why we need to get her a little card or something because she's so tiny. But the kids just really gravitate towards her, and it's a great way. The kids will say, "Oh, it's Thursday. It's the great day of the week," and it's right before. This is the beginning of the year, just when she first started to come in, and it's amazing. And the teachers have noticed this too. The kids just gravitate, and then with gravitating towards Cora, they get calmer, and then they sit down because I've asked them just to get down to her level. Put their hand out, and then she comes around and she's all over them. Right? Am I talking about you? So that's just another picture. I'm going to ask Teresa. This is one of the classes that I visit with Teresa.
Having a dog like Cora brings numerous benefits to students. Her presence alone can create calming atmospheres, making students feel more relaxed and at ease. Cora's presence does not distract students from getting their work done. Cora is well behaved and trained. Cora acts as an emotional support for students. When students feel upset or overwhelmed, Cora is there to offer comfort and companionship. Allowing a dog like Cora in school can have a positive impact on students. Thank you for allowing me to share about what it is like to have Cora at our.
Teresa, do you want to explain what you're doing in this picture? Cora's at the far end. I think she has a red sweater on. And I think Teresa's right on the floor. As you can see, I'm on the floor next to her. But you want to just explain what was going on?
In this class, we were doing partner work and reading about kinetic energy in science.
And then somebody brought out a ball, and then the kinetic energy went to a ball with Cora. But what's really amazing is that no matter how many times I walk into a classroom, there's this just calm quietness, and she just interacts with all the kids, and yet they continue to learn and participate in class.
What I was most shocked about is that was kinetic energy. So there was like ping pong balls all over the place, right? And Cora was just so calm. It was really amazing.
When we go by, and one of the other things I will just want to put, whenever I go by a classroom that Teresa is in, Cora pulls me in. Same thing with Tucker. Tucker's in one class, I walk by and she pulls me because she wants to greet and say hello. So again, I thank you. We were joining Mrs. Hodges' health class for a lesson on ways to distress. And this is a class we visited quite often. Actually, Cora pulls me into this room, and I'm trying to figure out why, because there's always a reason. They lead me, and I'm trying to figure out who is it. But the kids, she walks into the classroom, the kids say, "Can we come up?" Absolutely. They come up, they quiet, they sit down, and then I think that was the classroom that you walked into that morning, right? And it was just such a presence, and it was so calm, and I was like, this is wonderful. So she loves visiting the classrooms. And this is right before I'll let you. This is Ms. McGivney's language arts class, and we're going to do. We did a pre and post. This was actually an observation of mine where Tim was there, and we had gone in several times before, and Tim wanted to just see what it was like. And there was one student, Cora was trying to itch, and one kid was following along, and he just kind of leaned in and scratched the itch, and somebody else was reading along and just so intent and just petting her, and then just sitting there, and she just would go around and either greet them or lay there and just listen to them. So in the post observation, so I asked them how they felt before about, and the biggest thing that they were struggling with is sounding out words in front of their peers. And they were saying that when Cora is in the room, that they are more apt not to feel anxious. They say that they're calmer when they're reading, and they are more apt to really take their time and sound out the word that they're struggling with. And they cannot put words to why that is, and I don't think I can either. Mrs. McGivney was saying in her post-observation, she said, Ellen, there is a student here who would normally read 1 to 2 sentences and pass it on to another student. It's like just a read aloud. So they read a certain part and then pass it on. She said that student today read a page and a half before passing it on. Another student who she said was absolutely incredible, she said usually just reads fast, quick, and almost monotone. She said the level of his expression and his involvement in the story and the part that he read, she said she got choked up. She said, I do not know how to put this into words, and asked if we could come back more often. And then Mr. Charleston just noted that, more kids were more engaged. As we're reading along, sometimes they would get distracted, but every student was engaged in that story. And then some of the students wrote, I felt calmer, these are their words, when I had to sound out a word while reading out loud. I wasn't worried when I was reading when she was around. I loved how she looked at me when I was reading. I liked petting her when I was following along. And I really liked how she lays down when we read. It's like she's listening to us read. The feedback has been very positive for the kids. And with that, I would like to pass it over to Tucker, who has been, again, instrumental in bringing Cora into this program. Do you want me to say a few words? Sure. Go ahead.
When I first heard that Cora was coming to the school, I knew immediately that I had to sign up because I love animals, and actually I plan on applying to animal science at HCBSD next year. And meeting with her only enforced that feeling. Whenever I go to meet with Cora, it always makes my day 10 times better, and I always leave with a smile because of her calm aura. Whenever I meet with her with other people, I also notice that the entire room just has a calming aura, and it always makes people more happy when she's around.
And just this past last week, I asked Tucker if he ever played Othello, and he said no. I was like, ooh, that's a game I win. Come on, we'll have lunch. and we tied the first game. I was like, Tucker. But Cora just sat underneath the table because it's such a calm ease, and the leadership and the involvement, and it's just growing. Students are becoming more involved, and they want, we're now getting more emails from students, and the school counselors are to meet. So she does a lot of individual one-on-one as well, classrooms, conflict resolution, anything where she can make a difference, she's there. Just a short story before I end. In the morning when Dr. Morse comes in, she actually jumps on her back legs because he's so tall, so she's got to jump up. And last Thursday, she greeted him in the morning, and towards the end we were in a classroom, and Dr. Moss asked if he could bring a student by who just needed to calm down a little bit. And we walked out of the classroom, and as the student was petting her, like she was exhausted. And Dr. Moore said, is she exhausted? I said, she is, but she's loving it. And that's what she's been bred to do. So I, from the bottom of my heart, want to thank the EdTech committee, this board committee. I just don't have the words, Dr. Hart, for your support, everyone on this board, because being there firsthand, you can see the difference it's making. And the hardest part is putting it into tangible words. I thank you.
So where are we going next? We've come a long way in a year. We're not done, because there are more opportunities. Just like when we were thinking about the different types of scenarios in terms of having a dog at school, we understand that this is growing, and it is positive, and it is frankly very popular too. So one of the things that we've actually been, we're not getting inquiries from other schools and other districts to say, how do you start this program? So like we were reaching out before to other schools, we're now doing the same thing. We're giving some of our feedback and our story to other schools. And, we've talked about potentially upscaling Cora for maybe additional days in the future. Depends on how tired she gets. But maybe there's other alternatives too, right? Maybe an additional dog on an additional day. Maybe contracting with Bright and Beautiful during stressful times. We talked about maybe bringing more therapy dogs in during standardized testing, right? Right before or right after standardized testing to provide that calming effect, right? Taking a standardized test can be stressful. Why can't we also de-stress that a little bit? And that's help students refocus in on what they're taking. And hopefully that relates to better achievement in a lot of different things. And then continuing to say thank you to everybody here for your continued support. It goes without saying that this is a team approach and a team effort. And this wouldn't be possible without everybody on the board, Dr. Hart, Mr. Bone, the tech department, Ms. Goodfellow, Dr. Moss, and of course Cora, because without Cora and a therapy dog program, we wouldn't have a therapy dog program. So she's a very good girl. I'm so happy.
And one of the ways we want to just say thank you is it's a saying, it's a transactional object. And it's something that when a student works with Cora, that they can have something and take with them. So that if they're not with Cora, they can look at it and remember and just feel calm. So Tucker, if you would hand out on the left side, Teresa, if you would hand out on the right side, we'd like to give you a token of our appreciation and the board members. This is,
Yeah.
if you would.
Yeah, no, so I made Cora sit for staff photos, just letting you know. And Ellen brought Cora in, happened to be on a Thursday, right, for staff photos. It also seems that our spirit days are also on Thursdays, so she gets to dress up too. But then Life Touch, because we have a connection there, reached directly out to us and Miss Goodfellow.
And Life Touch supplied all the cards that they were given free of charge because they wanted to support the program and provide something for the students when she wasn't in the building, so.
And Mr. Bowman's nodding his head, free is for me. And it has our mission on the back too. Remind the students that this is part of our mission. Take care of yourself, take care of others, and take care of the school. And we want students to do that and to grow. And Cora is an honorary Viking, and we're so happy to have her. We're so appreciative of everybody here, so thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. So your the tagline at the bottom says a therapy dog brings joy one wag at a time. And I want to thank you, Mr. Charleston, Dr. Moss, Mrs. Goodfellow, Teresa, and Tucker for bringing some joy to our meeting tonight and letting us know the impact that Cora has had on the students and the staff at the middle school. And it's only been 1 year, and it's 1 day a week for a year. Already it looks like we're seeing some tremendous benefit. And we know how important climate and culture can be in a school for both students and staff. So thank you very much for being here tonight. I'll allow the board to ask some questions if they have any questions for the group.
I don't have any questions, but I just want to thank you all for the hard work that you put into this program. I mean, hearing from the students and the staff, the benefits that they've felt from having Cora there is just amazing. And there was a lot of work going into it, trying to figure out the policy, but I think we all wanted it to happen. So just kudos, tremendous amount of work, and just so much good feelings. I had tears in my eyes, just great stuff. Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think we should work to get in the second one. I have one at home that's a little problematic. I could donate a 1-year-old puppy.
It's funny, when we initially launched this, we thought about, could this be a other way for other schools within the district to also do something similar as well too, and certainly a couple of other schools are actually doing that too. I think it wasn't a therapy dog, but I think a couple weeks ago, one of the police dogs actually came through Bridges too, and I know that this is a wonderful program, so we can't wait to upscale this. And these folks.
It took me a minute, too.
Thank you.
I got you. Anything
I have a
else?
question. Excellent presentation, thank you. As far as, and I'm sure it's challenging scheduling with, 480 plus kids and one dog 1 day a week. And there's obviously a lot of interest. Are there rules, like, are the kids allowed to give treats or anything like that? Or has that been set up? I'm just curious.
That's a good question. When a therapy dog is working, they do not get treats.
They don't get treats.
They don't get treats.
Right.
Because of Tucker and Teresa's relationship, if they're coming in and we do a little training, I'm trying to try a few different things, I'll give them treats, but when she's working, she's working.
Wow.
So, no, we do without treats, because then she knows who's got a treat in their pocket,
Right.
and that's where but otherwise, when she's working, she leads me to kids, and I know who I need to speak to and talk to.
Wow.
I'm talking about you, wanna come up? Okay, come on.
Excellent, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions from the board? Thank you all very much for coming tonight. We really appreciate it. It's a very busy time of year, so you are welcome to stay. I'm going to continue with my superintendent report. I have a couple more items to talk about, but thank you all. Really appreciate it. So we are less than a month away from opening our preschool program. So I just want to provide a few bullet points, a couple of updates to the board to let you know what's happened over the past couple of weeks. Jason and I both provided updates in finance. We talked in ed tech. We'll hear this in the committee minutes tonight, as well as personnel. So I'll just go through a few things. Since last we met, letters were sent out in regard to preschool before Thanksgiving. There were 3 types of letters that we sent to all interested parents. Letter 1 was that they were in the program, that their student was enrolled. Letter number 2 was that their child may not have been selected for the program, but they were on the wait list should a spot open up, and spots have. And third, we did have some families fill out the survey, and their children were not yet age eligible according to our age policy. So we just let them know, hey, your child's not age eligible, but stay tuned. There will be more programming for future years. We had a registration event on December 7th and 8th. So any children that were new to our preschool program or were in one of the private providers, we needed to gather all of their demographic data and the registration information. So we had 3 of our central office secretaries were here in this room, and we had 90 appointments come in over the course of 2 days. They registered everyone. That gave us an opportunity to confirm before and after care, transportation. Some parents didn't come and called and said, well, we actually reconsidered. You can open up another spot because, we're no longer interested, which we understand. It's January. Disrupting a child's schedule mid-year could be troublesome to some families. So everyone is registered. We have all of their paperwork right now. During that registration event, we handed out pamphlets and information to all the parents about accessing school menus for food service, signing up in Genesis, signing up for pay schools, checking how to check transportation routes. We provided them a school calendar, school start times, which are on the agenda tonight, and brief information about the New Jersey early learning standards when it comes to early childhood education. We've worked with our private providers, Stanton Learning Center and Berry Patch. We had some minor facility work to do to freshen up their facilities. We did some work over at White House School to prepare those classrooms for preschool. Furniture, curricular materials have been ordered. We've ordered food service carts. We have methods of delivering food to all of our private providers. Transportation routes have been created. We've given parents preliminary times to be at the bus stop and times that students will be dropped off. Those will change a little bit because some parents decided to sign up for transportation at the registration event. And Jason, I think I'm correct in saying that any parents who were enrolled in one of our preschool programs or a preschool program from September through December, we've received their tuition information, and we are in the process of giving refund checks for that partial semi-annual tuition that they paid from September through December. So we have, Doreen took a phone call today, and she told me she teared up. Like, when we call parents and tell them they're off the wait list and we have a spot for them, they're thrilled, and we're sending out refund checks. I mean, this is like the holidays come early for some families. It's great. So, we've been using the expression, we're building the plane as we fly, which is not the ideal way you fly a plane, but it's the way we have to do it. There's going to be turbulence, but we are as prepared and planned and being as proactive as possible when it comes to opening preschool. So, and I know you'll hear a little bit more in the committee minutes about preschool, but Jason, is there anything to add? Did I miss any pieces? It's okay to say yes, I miss things.
No, that was,
Okay.
that was a great synopsis.
Okay. Questions about preschool?
I just had a question.
Yeah.
What are the numbers for admitted, wait list? What does that look like?
It's like changing by the hour, so I'll give you, rough numbers. We admitted and offered spots, roughly to our 105. I want to say about now, I would count maybe 7 or 8 that have either declined or said no to admission. We've probably pulled another 10 off the wait list. And when I say 10, I mean like we've called some that from the wait list, they've said, great, thanks, but no thanks. We're okay where we're at for the year. Some from the wait list have said yes. So maybe 10, 11 off the wait list. So those are rough numbers. Jody, I can give you more details once I go through the spreadsheet for tomorrow. We've achieved our goal of our priorities. We prioritized free and reduced lunch students, 4-year-old students, students in program currently sitting in Stanton Learning Center, White House Prep, or Barry Patcher, or those places. We've achieved some of our goals. I think all 4-year-olds that want to come to preschool, I think we found a spot for almost all 4-year-olds. Same thing with free and reduced lunch. They've said yes. So we've achieved some of those goals.
Great, thank you.
Sure. Anything else about preschool? Okay, and you'll hear more in the committee minutes as well. So it is December. We will be bringing in a new year in just a couple of weeks. And when we do that, that also means that we are going to welcome some new board members, but we also have to say goodbye to 2 board members. So each December, I like to say a few words, and I would ordinarily have certificates, but I'll get you certificates for your service on the board, Jody and Carol. But a couple things that I think the board and the public should know about these 2 extraordinary women. Jody Betterman joined the board in January of 2022, winning a write-in election campaign. Jody served as the chair of the Policy and Communications Committee and the chair of the Green Committee. She also attended Garden State Coalition of Schools meetings. One of her accomplishments includes her recognition in obtaining the new school board member certification. Jody's contributions to the Board of Education have been endless. She has tirelessly worked to keep green initiatives moving forward. She has assisted in the redevelopment of several critical policies while serving on the policy committee. Beyond her contributions to the Board of Education, Jody is a dedicated community member, constantly leading and volunteering a hand at any organization in need, most notably the HSA, where she served as president, and her committee work at Hunterdon Central as well. Jody, I'd like to thank you for your dedication to the Redington Board of Education, and you will certainly be missed. Thank you. Carol Hampel joined the board in January 2018, winning a write-in campaign as well with a friend and board colleague. Carol served on the Personnel Committee, Finance Committee, and the Policy Communications Committee. She was also the chair of the Ed Tech and Negotiations Committee during her time on the board. She was also the HSA liaison, and of course, she has served as board president for the past 2 years. Carol led countless negotiations meetings that resulted in a successful contract with the RTEA. She contributed to the superintendent search 7 years ago, which turned out pretty well, and added her thoughts and perspectives to all board committees that she served on. Beyond all of this, Carol served the board by being the representative to our Future Ready Committee many years ago. She sat on the RMS principal search and our first QSAC committee in our last QSAC cycle. She, like Jody, is also a dedicated volunteer in the community. She was an HSA representative prior to her time on the board, and she volunteers for BMX as well. Her commitment to public service is certainly unwavering, giving so much of her time to the Reddington community. Over the past 6 years, working together, I believe we've developed a great collaborative relationship, and I'd say even a friendship, for which I am eternally grateful. I will truly miss having you as a partner in leadership on the board, and I want to wish you the best. So to both of you, best wishes from the Board of Education. Remember, we are here if you ever need us. Thank you so much. Thank you.
That was lovely.
That's all I have.
All right, we are now open to the public for limited to action items on the agenda. Nothing in the chat. All right, moving on, we had no correspondence. Moving on to board action. Can I get a motion for the administrative reports, 1.01 through 1.06? I move that.
Second, Carolyn.
Any questions or comments?
I just had a comment. Well, I just want to say I'm going to be voting no on 105. The HIB. I mean, without getting into any confidential details, I just don't think it's a HIB. And, I say that knowing that the administration looked at it carefully. But for me, it's not. But I want to emphasize, I do think it was, a serious instance, and I think that all the discipline that was imposed was appropriate. That's all.
Any other comments?
I just had a question on the CUSAC review. I saw instruction and program came in at 40%, and I just wondered what went into that number, if you could just explain that.
I'm glad you asked. I was going to provide the board with this information, and Beth was in our CUSAC meeting as well. Under instruction and program, 60%, those 60 points that are not in the report that you have in front of you, are state-generated student achievement and student growth numbers that are provided from the Department of Education. So instruction and program is two parts. That 60% is how our students are achieving and how they've grown from one year to the next. And that's a DOE-provided number. We don't have that number yet, so that's missing from the calculation. The other 40%, which you're looking at, is our compliance with applying the state standards, curricular initiatives, and policies that support curriculum and instruction. So we have not yet received that number from the state in terms of our growth. And this needs to be approved tonight to upload to the DOE by Friday. So we've submitted this without that number, and they will provide that, and I will update the board once we get the score that we have out of that 60%. Once we have that score, I'll give that to the board just to let you know.
Thank you.
Yep, of course.
I asked that earlier. All right, no other questions or comments. Can I get a roll call, please?
Ms. Benham,
Yes.
Ms. Fiore,
Yes.
Mr. Beach,
Is no on 1.05, yes on the rest?
Ms. Bogorski,
Yes.
Ms. Wolf,
Yes.
Dr. Cerciolo,
Yes.
Ms. Amble,
Yes.
passes.
Moving on to the minutes, can I get a motion to adopt 2.01 through 2.02?
So move that. Second, Carolyn.
Any questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Ms. Benham,
Yes.
Ms. Fiore,
Yes.
Mr. Beach,
Yes.
Ms. Bogorski,
Yes.
Ms. Wolf,
Yes.
Dr. Cerciolo,
Yes.
Ms. Amble,
Yes.
passes.
Moving on, finance facilities, can I get a motion to adopt 3.01 through 3.07?
So move that. Second, Carolyn.
And we have a committee report?
We do. The Finance Committee met on Thursday, December 7th, and the first topic was the CUSAC facility walkthrough, which occurred on November 20th and 21st. A representative from the DOE County Office visited our facilities as part of the CUSAC process. The New Jersey Quality Single Accountability Continuum is the Department of Education's monitoring and district self-evaluation system for public school districts. They visited White House School, Hollenbrook School, and Reddington Middle School. They are required to visit schools for all grade levels. Therefore, Three Bridges School was not selected for this visit since they have the same grades as White House School. Three Bridges School could be selected next time. White House School is opening preschool classrooms, and showing those classrooms was part of the visit. Everything went very well. Our buildings are in excellent condition. The only area that will need to be addressed is the lighting in some of the classrooms at Reddington Middle School. The fixtures needed to be changed, which is already on our plan for the LED upgrades. The next topic was the preschool education aid update, and to add to what Dr. Hart has presented earlier, the first topic was funding and tuition refunds. So the state funding of approximately $1.5 million has started to come in, and tuition refunds are being calculated and parents will be reimbursed before the end of December. The next topic was facilities. White House School, Stanton Learning Center, and Berry Patch are all on track and will be ready for preschool. The furniture just needs to be delivered. The plan is for all the programs to have the same furniture, equipment, and supplies. White House Prep is currently ready for preschool class. The next topic was IT. All preschools will be set up with our attendance module, and each teacher will have one of our laptops and will be set up in our system, and each classroom will have a printer and toner. Next, we talked about transportation. The routes are all set and will be distributed on December 20th, only to the parents who requested transportation. Preschoolers will sit in the first rows. Car seats are not required on a school bus. Approximately 80% of the students will be driven by parents. Preschool at the daycare centers will begin and end their day 15 minutes later than our elementary schools to allow driving time. Instructional time is the same for all locations. The next topic was food service, and all daycare centers will also be serviced by Machios. Prepackaged hot and cold meals will be delivered daily and served to the students who ordered a meal. The menu will be the same in all locations. Next topic was supplies. All supplies should be in before the end of December in time to set up the classrooms. The last topic we talked about was staffing, and all classrooms are fully staffed. The next topic was about communication shared services contract of the Hayden Township School District. Lori Perlow is earning $6,500 for 9 days. She's a communications specialist employed by Hayden Township and can be shared with us at a similar cost to improve communication in our district. This will be voted on tonight's meeting. The next topic was the Three Bridges boiler and insurance coverage. There was some discussion regarding the boiler and potential insurance coverage, and the boiler is functioning well. And then we set up our next meeting for January 11th at 9 a.m.
Thank you, Dr. Cerciolo. Any questions or comments on the minutes or the action items? All right, can I get a roll call?
Mrs. Betterman.
Yes.
Mrs. Fiore.
Yes.
Mr. Beach.
Yes.
Mrs. Bogorski.
Yes.
Mrs. Bolt.
Yes.
Dr. Cerciolo.
Yes.
Ms. Amick.
Yes.
Passes.
Education technology, can I get a motion to adopt 4.01 through 4.03?
So moved, Beth. Second, Carolyn.
And we have a committee report.
Yes, we do. The Ed Tech Committee met on November 28th. The first item on our agenda, we talked about the preschool curriculum. The committee saw a presentation by new preschool teacher Tanya Cavallo, I hope I'm saying her name right, about creative curriculum, one of the two curriculums the preschool program will utilize in January. A major part of the curriculum is setting up the room by centers, example, an art center, block center, science center, etc. Incorporating inclusive practices, which teaches independence, learning through play, and hands-on activities. Also, partnerships with families to showcase things like careers that relate to the curriculum. And the last element is data assessment planning with the coach. Our preschool program will be evaluated annually on the ECERS, Early Childhood Environment Rating Scale. The district will be providing professional development on creative curriculum as well as training on the Eckers Gold Assessment to preschool teaching staff. Stanton Learning Center, Berry Patch, and Reddington Schools Reddington Schools will be using creative curriculum. White House Preparatory Academy is using another approved curriculum called Tools of the Mind. However, the goal is to transition over to creative curriculum at some point at a later date. Next, we discussed, we had a quarterly tech update from Mr. Belsky. He talked about upgrades that were made to the phone system and security cameras. The security cameras updates were made with guidance from the school safety officers. The district received a grant for cyber security protection, and he also talked about that. And then as part of capital maintenance projects, the audio updates were made to Hollenbrook School for the cafeteria and gym sound systems. Next, we talked about the NJSLA scores. This was a follow-up to our November board meeting. Ms. Pouch and Dr. Brown researched surrounding districts' NJSLA scores to see how our district scores compared to similar surrounding school districts. Based on the scores they found publicly available on those districts' websites, they found that our district is in alignment with test and score trends of schools of a similar size. Just as a side note, I saw the NJ.com had the listing this past weekend so I'm like, oh, they did all this work and here it is posted in the paper. But if anyone's interested in looking that up, the scores are posted there publicly. It's a much easier way than going to everyone's website. Back to minutes. Next, we talked about intervention and tutoring programs. Ms. Pouch and Dr. Brown reported out the participation rates of the intervention and tutoring programs that are offered to students. Administrators are continuing to look for ways to boost participation. First, after-school tutoring, RMS has had minimal participation, maybe perhaps due to transportation issues. After-school fall and spring YMCA program has very good participation, and that's grades 1 through 5. Kindergarten club will be starting in the spring. Summer tutoring has about a 50% participation rate for those who qualify. Litera LA, the language arts online tutoring, this program will start in January for students who meet the criteria. The participation rate has historically been pretty good with that program. Intervention during the school day, there are 3 tiers of intervention available to students. Tier 1 is classroom teacher provides support. Tier 2 is additional aid or teacher in the class for extra support. And Tier 3 is in-class and pull-out services. These are all optional programs. For math, there's good participation at Three Bridges, White House, Hollenbrook. RMS has had lower participation, especially for the pull-out intervention. Push-in is a new initiative. It is better received than the pull-out. However, pull-out is ideal for certain students who need that Tier 3. For language arts, there's a 25% of students have declined the in-school services, the push-in and the pull-out. So these numbers were not fantastic, and like I said, they were optional programs. So for whatever reason, the students were opted out of those. The district is looking at options to increase this participation in intervention at RMS because we believe this is impacting our NJSLA scores. Next, we talked about there was a grant that was submitted for high impact tutoring. We were not awarded that grant. We tabled until next meeting our discussion on board goals, and then we scheduled our next meeting for January 17th at 8:30 a.m.
Thank you, Mrs. Fiore. Any questions or comments on the minutes or action items?
I just have a question either for Beth or Dr. Hart. And we may have covered this at the committee, but how many curriculums are there, like, to choose from?
Preschool,
Yeah.
there are four
The
state approved.
State approved, okay.
Yeah, 4 state approved.
What are the other, so it's tools of the mind?
Creative curriculum, high scope, and I may look up the other one, the 4th one.
No, we just found out about the one, but we think that that's best. And
Our district has been using creative curriculum and some supplementary materials at Three Bridges School. Both Berry Patch and Stanton Learning Center have been using pieces of creative curriculum. White House Prep has been using Tools of the Mind for quite a long time, and they have some additional certifications in Tools of the Mind. And especially mid-year, we saw no reason to transition them over at this time. But high scope, and there is one other one, and I'll look it up for you.
But then we think creative curriculum is better than even the tools of the mind? Or why are we switching over?
We're not switching over. We're using creative curriculum because it's what we are currently using in district and what those other private providers have used in the past.
Oh, okay. All right, thanks.
I had something else about the preschool curriculum, just a question. Will that now get posted on the curriculum part of the website? Because I don't remember that happening before, but now that it's becoming a much bigger part of what we're offering, is that the plan?
Yeah, I'm gonna post the links to the websites for creative curriculum and for tools of the mind. We don't have curriculum documents for those programs. We're just going to use the state the state documents or the state curriculum outline and their materials. So I'll post everything online.
When you say you'll post everything online, do you mean on the Board of Ed website?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, under our curriculum documents.
Okay.
Yep.
Then how many different curriculums are there, like for preschools right now in New Jersey? Do you know?
I just know of the 4 state-approved ones, and Montessori program can be used
Montessori
for.
method, yeah,
Mhm.
okay.
Connect for Learning is the 4th one. Connect for Learning, creative curriculum, high scope, and tools of the mind.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Any other questions or comments?
I had the same question as Jody about when will it be posted, and then also a question for the professional development, how soon will that be offered to our preschool teachers?
So some have already received it because there were some online modules that the teachers have already attended. Some that we've hired are coming to the district, already have been trained in those curriculum documents. And then we have our March Professional Development Day, where we're definitely bringing someone in to do like a day-long update to our curriculum training for all staff, all preschool staff.
Thank you.
Yep.
I had one other thing that I just wanted to share with the other board members, because I was on the CUSAC committee, and having seen the New Jersey School Board's webinar, on CUSAC and what to expect, I was like, all right, this is gonna be pretty cool. But I just wanted to share my experience, at least with our district. And so I sat in on this meeting where there's a spreadsheet. The state says there's 60-something indicators of what we're gonna look for to see if your district is highly functioning or not. And, it was a very impressive process. And I immediately was like, Dr. Hart, this is amazing. You guys are doing an amazing job, because for each item that they wanted to see, Jason and Dr. Hart and Mrs. Beagle had backup, had evidence of, yes, we do this, and here's how, and here's all the documentation. Everything was laid out and so organized and nice. And it was very refreshing and wonderful to see that, they know what they're doing, they're professionals, and everything was just like going down the list. Yep, check, we got it. Yep. I mean, it was very easy for me to sit and be the viewer in that process. But I just wanted to commend, the great work, and the documentation is just, it all speaks for itself. It's all there. And the question with, that you had asked, we just put zeros in those columns for the instruction part, those test scores or whatever. But once those test scores are put in, I mean, our percentages are going to be up, 90% or whatever it is. So I feel like we're in very good shape. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yay.
It's truly amazing, the process. I mean, the amount of the detail that you just have no idea that goes into CUSAC, and everything that they look at is so detailed. And when we say CUSAC is another acronym, we throw it around, but the amount of work is just so intense. But the proof to show, like, yeah, these are what you need to be doing, and then like, oh yeah, well, we have this, oh yeah, and that as evidence. It's really impressive.
What's even more scary is they may come back and ask for more evidence. Just so you know, like, they sometimes ask for additional things. So, but I think we're in great shape. Yeah, thank you. Thank you both.
The uninitiated CUSAC is what? What is
I'm
this?
sorry. So CUSAC is.
You got it. Yep, it's there.
Well, it's an acronym, so we can
Right.
get the actual.
The New Jersey Quality Single Accountability Continuum is what it stands for, but it's the state monitoring that the schools are performing in the way that they are mandated to do.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome. Good question. And no other questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Ms. Bowman,
Yes.
Mrs. Fiore,
Yes.
Mr. Peach,
Yes.
Ms. Bogorski,
Yes.
Ms. Wolf.
Yes.
Dr. Social,
Yes.
Ms. Epple.
Yes.
Passes.
Moving on to personnel, can I get a motion to adopt 5.01 through 5.14?
So move that. Second, Carol?
And we have a committee report.
We do. So the committee met on December 8th, and we discussed staffing updates, the Hollenbrook School principal search updates and analytics as far as the search, general enrollment information, job description for the new, for a green coordinator position, clerical aid position we discussed, other personnel matters, and then we look to focus on our goal number 1, which is to settle an agreement with the RTAA before the end of the school year, and continued on goal number 6, to set the budget parameters that effectively plan for enrollment growth, maintain the depth, breadth, and quality of educational and co-curricular programs that are both sustainable and fiscally accountable to the community, and evaluating and assessing our redistricting, plan to accommodate shifts in student population. We also added the agenda items of staffing appointments, job description, resignations, adjustment to bus driver hours, and other typical items. Scheduled a meeting, next meeting for Tuesday, January 23rd at 8:45 a.m.
Thank you, Mrs. Pogorski. Any questions or comments on the brief minutes or the agenda items?
Still writing all the other ones, I just don't have to read them.
Can I get a roll call, please?
Ms. Bowman,
Yes.
Ms. Fiore,
Yes.
Ms. Peach,
Yes.
Ms. Barborski,
Yes.
Ms. Wolf,
Yes.
Dr. Social,
Yes.
Ms. Epple.
Yes.
Passes.
Moving on to communication, can I get a motion to adopt 6.01 through 6.04?
So move that.
Second, Jennifer?
And Mrs. Wolf, we have a committee report.
We do, and it is not as brief as the previous one. The committee met on November 27th and discussed communication planning. With the loss of the Readington News as a free tool to disseminate information that reaches all members of the Readington community, the committee has been exploring alternative methods to plan and reach constituents of the district. We met with Lori Perlow, who's a public relations professional and has experience in schools and the private sector. She worked for 8 years in a school district in Mercer County, handling every aspect of communications and public relations. She now sits on the national board, and her professional mission is to ensure every school district has access to shared services. As a first step, if engaged, Lori would recommend developing a communication planning process, surveying key stakeholders, including parents and other community members, to target community members who do not have children enrolled in school. And the second step would be to review the data and then host a series of focus groups. From start to finish, it can take up to 6 months. The committee is recommending engaging with Lori Perlow in a shared services agreement for the minimum investment allowable, which is $6,500 per year, for the equivalent of 9 full work days. Board members discussed how to communicate with community members who do not have students enrolled in school, and board members expressed a desire to build into the plan how to measure success so we can assess if the board and district goals are achieved with this shared services agreement. The committee also discussed communications in general and a reminder of our goal number 5, which is to continue to improve communications and expand community engagement with all stakeholders. Our efforts will continue our focus on transparency, broadening our efforts beyond our locality, highlighting and celebrating district accomplishments with an emphasis on our sustainability and green initiatives, and develop collaborations with our local governmental entities with a focus on closing the loop and communicating the end results. Pursuing a shared services agreement to utilize these services of Lori Perlow, we believe will help in achieving this goal. The committee also discussed Alert 231. Policy 2270 is religion in schools. The United States Department of Education released updated guidance on constitutionally protected prayer and religious expression in public elementary and secondary schools. The language has been updated to mirror the guidance, but there are no material changes. We also reviewed policy 3161 and 4161, examination for cause. Policy 3161 applies to certificated staff, and policy 4161 applies to non-certificated staff. The policy has been updated to read more procedurally to clarify the process, and no changes to Reddington's current process were made. Case law indicates a board decision to require an examination has been upheld if challenged when a board follows these procedures. Policy 8500 is food services was revised. The Working Class Families and Anti-Hunger Act revised several NJ statutes, and the act also created new statute section NJSA 18A:33-10.1, 18A 33-14A, and 18A 3321B1. As a result, the policies 8540 and 8550 are to be abolished, and policy 8500 is to be revised and incorporates provisions from the abolished policies that are still relevant. Some highlights are low-income families that previously qualified for reduced lunch are now eligible for free breakfast and lunch. If a district has above 10% low-income families in one specific school, the district is required to provide breakfast, which Reddington already provides. Homeless students receive meals, which Reddington already provides, and additionally, students may still receive food even with a negative balance in their account, which has been Reddington's current practice. In practice, the district will engage with parents to fill out paperwork to qualify for low-income services if eligible, or ask parents to pay their outstanding balance. The revised policy guide 8500 is mandated and must be adopted by the board if the district participates in the National School Lunch Program. Just a note, abolishing policies from Alert 231 School Nutrition Program and Policy 8550 Meal Charges and Outpatient Food Services Bill. We discussed advocacy, pension and other teacher retention strategies, coordinating with Central, and also reviewed the Safe Return Plan. The incorrect plan was shared at the committee meeting and resent to the committee via email. The plan must be updated every 6 months. Discussion was had to ensure that there were inclusion of proper ventilation, which was updated in the last revision, and the current updates reflect this year's current practices and the use of ESSER and ARP funds, such as clubs being offered at the elementary schools and in-house certified LPC, licensed professional counselor, as a district employee for Tier 3 mental health counseling. Agenda items are to approve the Safe Return Plan update, first reader policies 2270, 3161, 4161, and 8500, and abolish 8540 and 8550. The next meeting is scheduled for Tuesday, January 26th at 4 p.m.
Thank you, Mrs. Wolf. Any questions or comments on the action items or the minutes? All right, roll call, please.
Ms. Betterman.
Yes.
Ms. Fiore.
Yes.
Mr. Beach.
Yes.
Ms. Bogorski.
Yes.
Ms. Wolf.
Yes.
Dr. Social.
Yes.
Ms. Amel.
Yes.
Passes.
Unfinished business from the board? The students, did you want to talk about them?
The delegation?
Yeah.
That's for Green Committee.
Oh. All right, new business from the board. We have a new NJSBA certified board member. Congratulations, Mrs. Fiore. And we also have a new board member, boardsmanship certification for Mrs. Wolf. Congratulations.
And Ms. Sample, as I had clarified, I've completed all the trainings and the award is pending. So I understand, I appreciate the congratulations. This is our last meeting of the year and happy to update the board once the certificate is formally received.
Awesome.
Thank you. And we have Green Committee minutes.
We do. So the Green Committee met on Thursday, November 30th, and we talk about items related to the 3 pillars that are part of sustainability. So under Pillar 1, it's related to reduced environmental impact and costs. We talked about the solar array expansion project that continues to move forward. Mr. Settembrino, the architect for the district, presented the project to the Reddington Planning Board and received unanimous approval. The next steps are to finalize proposal specifications and issue a request for proposals that will allow a schedule where the project can be awarded in March and work can commence in June 2024. Electric school bus, we received word that our latest electric bus grant submission was not successful. No surprise. And we continue to look for opportunities to secure funding for this initiative. So we're hoping as the federal grants get expended to the highest need districts that maybe our chances are getting better. So we continue to apply for those. Energy efficiency upgrades are being pursued for our district facilities, including phase 2 and 3 of LED lighting installations in Hollenbrook and Reddington Middle School scheduled for this summer. Additionally, Amoresco, which is the district solar PPA provider, has an opportunity for a facility energy audit and the potential for energy efficiency upgrades where they can pursue funding to offset the cost to the district. So that's being pursued as well. The district is moving forward with something called Operations Hero energy tracking software, which was recently made available. Since we already use this software for our facilities, this is expected to be a moderate additional cost, which will allow us to continue to monitor our energy usage and energy costs throughout the district. On to Pillar 2, which is to improve health and wellness of schools, student, and staff. We had a presentation of the Reddington Township Environmental Resource Inventory, which has recently been reimagined, and it is so fantastic. The new ERI is a dynamic story map, and it provides detailed interactive information about Reddington's history, its climate, natural resources, land use, and air quality. This innovative environmental resource inventory won the Association of New Jersey Environmental Commission's 2023 Environmental Achievement Award. Committee members will continue to review and can send feedback to Dr. Hendrickson for the Environmental Commission in town. There's a potential for this ERI to be used with students, and the Environmental Commission may also be able to provide a professional development session for teachers so that we can put this great resource to use in our schools. Jason also shared with us that local farm saplings from Zone 7, which is a local farm to table sort of organization, they were provided as giveaways on Staff Professional Development Day. Pillar 3 is to provide environmental education. So the district was fortunate to be chosen by the National Wildlife Federation and New Jersey Audubon Society to host a visit on November 21st from a delegation from Taiwan who was interested in learning more about sustainable schools and climate change education. They were able to spend time at Reddington Middle School and White House School, as well as with district administration and Board of Education Green Committee members. It is hoped that this will lead to a partnership between Reddington schools and Taiwan school representatives. At the November 14th Board of Education meeting last month, staff, students, and volunteers were recognized for their efforts toward making the TBS Bioswale project a success. And I've included in the minutes a link to the final video that will be updated on the district's website, right? So that's there if you wanted to take a look at that wonderful end project. Let's see, number 4 is board goal number 5, which you've already heard from the Policy and Communications Committee, but I will reiterate it. So to continue to improve communications and to expand community engagement with all stakeholders. Our efforts will continue to focus on transparency, broadening our efforts beyond our locality, highlighting and celebrating district accomplishments with an emphasis on our sustainability and greening initiatives, and developing collaborations with our local government entities. Focus on closing the loop and communicating the result. This goal was discussed by the committee with ideas generated around communicating results, so that closing the loop piece, including opportunities for student presentations to relevant Reddington Township committees, such as the Environmental Commission, and to local organizations such as the Rotary Club. Next item is committee members were invited to review the Strategic Focus Action Plan Tracking Document, which is a really long name for how we're going to continue to track our focus items, which is being outdoors, being in nature, those types of things. So this includes efforts and activities planned or completed in the schools related to the Green Committee's focus on this being outside and experiencing nature. Also conserving energy and exploring options for food waste, which is an ongoing sort of larger goal for the committee. This document is continually being updated to reflect progress towards these goals, and committee members were asked to submit their comments. Number 6, I was thanked for my service and dedication to the community, as that was my last Green Committee meeting as board member and chair. And then we had new business from the committee. Support was expressed for the idea of a QR code as part of the signage requested for the solar expansion project. This would be an opportunity for some rich content related to the advantages to the district, student, and community of using solar energy to power the school facilities. So that's way down the road, but it's something we know we need to include up front as the request for proposals goes out. And finally, our next Green Committee meeting will be on Wednesday, February 7th at 3:30 p.m.
Thank you, Mrs. Betterman. Any questions or comments?
Yeah, something. So again, I just want to just speak to the experience of the Taiwan delegation. So this is an opportunity that came about very quickly. This was 2 days before Thanksgiving, and I think our district maybe had even a week or whatever to pull together. Jody and I were invited for the Green Committee members to attend the welcome lunch with the delegation. And I just want to say how like mesmerized I was to be sitting in this room. So, you know, just, hey, we're just the board members here, you know, we have not that we didn't have any idea what was going on, but the gentleman who was there from the National Wildlife Federation had this connection with this professor in Taiwan. And the professor reached out and said, and I'm sorry, I don't have everyone's names in front of me. So
It's okay.
but the professor reached out and said, we want to start having green initiatives in our schools in the lower grades. We want to see what schools are doing in the United States, who's doing well, who's doing it right. You know, we want to learn from them. And so the gentleman at National Wildlife Federation said, okay, I'm going to reach out to the New Jersey Audubon and ask, you know, who should we put them in touch with? And New Jersey Audubon said, you need to go to Reddington schools. They're the ones who are the best in the state, who know what they're doing. And it was so humbling to be sitting there thinking that of all the schools they could have chosen, they, you know, asked to come to learn from us. For the lunch, you know, we sat there, the students came in from the middle school and they spoke Mandarin to the delegation. It was a professor and 2 other, you know, coworkers, or I don't know what their exact relationship was, but so the students spoke Mandarin. It was just such a nice welcome exchange, and it was really a wonderful display of mutual, common ground and respect for education and the environment. And they got a presentation from Dr. Hart, a fantastic presentation on what it is that we're doing in the Reddington School District. And I could just see his eyes were like, oh, he's, taking notes vigorously, like, wow, I really want to learn this. And then for them to go on to White House and RMS and speak to students and to see everything hands-on, it was incredibly humbling and wonderful to be part of that just for a minute to welcome. But I feel like it happened so quickly. We didn't get word out. I don't even know if the board members, everyone knew it was happening because it was just such a quick event. But it was wonderful to be thought of in the state as the leader in that. And, just something that I've always been taught, in terms of marketing is whenever you are that person who's thought of, when that's your strongest suit, you have to lean into that and really play that up as much as possible. So it's something that we are recognized in, and we should for sure be proud of that. So.
Excellent. Can we do a press release on that?
Yeah, I talked to Betsy Freeman about it, and we're going to do a press release. So I have not seen it. I don't think that she has sent anything out yet, but we're working on it.
Excellent.
Mm-hmm.
That's great news. Any other new business from the board? All right, we are now open to the public. Anything on or off the agenda?
Hi, everybody. Jackie Dittel. What an exciting meeting. I realized that there would be a presentation about the therapy dog, but I did not realize that she would be here in in person, if you can say in person. And Ms. Goodfellow, thank you so much for that. I think that whole program is fantastic, and it was really, really nice to see the results of that program so far. I know the kids are excited about it, but I am. I'm really over the moon. I think it's terrific, just terrific. I also wanted to say congratulations to Ms. Fiore and Ms. Wolf on your certifications. Well done. That's always really nice to see. Following what Dr. Hart said about Mrs. Betterman and Mrs. Hamble, thank you both so much, Mrs. Betterman, for your service. I think you have always been very thoughtful and thorough and very inclusive of all perspectives in all of your deliberations that have gone on in this board. So thank you for that. And I'm looking forward to the board continuing with the Green Committee even after Mrs. Betterman's departure. So I hope that that continues. It was really a job well done over the years. And Mrs. Hample, I think that you've provided calm and measured leadership to the board and to this community. Thank you very much for that. And thank you really to the entire board, all of the members, for your service. It's much appreciated. And also Dr. Hart and Mr. Bohm for all of your work. Thanks so much, everybody. Thank you so much.
Is there anything online?
Nothing in the chat.
All right. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
So move back.
Second, Carolyn.
8:25. Roll call, please.
Ms. Betterman.
Yes.
Mrs. Fiore.
Yes.
Mr. Beach.
Yes.
Ms. Zagorski.
Yes.
Ms. Wolf.
Yes.
Dr. Social.
Yes.
Ms. Hamble.
Yes. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Happy holidays. Thank you, everyone, for coming out.
It's like, wait, are we going to-